Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Viewers, I am Dr. Muhammad Salim Iqbal, Assistant Professor of Surgery, Faisalabad Medical University, Faisalabad. Today, I am here with another important topic, pre-operative preparation. But before I start my today's topic, I request you to subscribe my channel and press bell icon. Before start of today's topic, I want to clear some important concepts. Perioperative period. Perioperative period includes pre-operative, that is before surgery, intraoperative, during surgery, and post-operative, after surgery period. While pre-operative period, it is an important time to address issues that may come up during surgery, that is screening. Preoperative phase. Preoperative phase begins with the decision to perform surgery and continue until the patient has reached the operating area. Surgical operation involves different phases which are elaborated as preoperative phase, assessment phase, preparation phase, intraoperative phase, anesthesia, then surgery, then post-operative phase, post-operative care, and finally follow-up. Questions to be asked by attending doctor before proceeding to any intervention are: is this a healthy patient? What is the indication for surgery? Is the surgical procedure low risk, intermediate risk, or high risk? What is the functional status of patient? What is the effect of present condition on the patient? And what improvement is expected after surgery? Pre-operative plan for the best patient outcomes. Gather and record all relevant information. Optimize patient condition. Choose surgery that offers minimal risk and maximal benefits. Anticipate and plan for adverse events and inform anyone concerned. Pre-operative preparation for an elective major surgery. It includes detailed history, detailed physical examination, investigations, correction of underlying coexisting medical diseases, informed consent, and general preparation. History taking. History taking is an important step in pre-operative preparation. Its purpose is to detect any general, systemic, and local risk factors concerning the patient and operation. It evaluates the level of control and progress of known disease. It is important to screen any undiagnosed disease condition. Previous history of operation is very much important in history taking, and it includes indications, that is either emergency or elective procedure, type of anesthesia that was given at the time of previous surgery, then intubation and recovery, any preoperative, intraoperative, or post-operative problems, and duration of hospital stay in the past history of any surgical intervention, then past medical history, then drug history, any antihypertensive drugs, duration, drugs taken recently, drug affecting post-operative outcome, for example, anticoagulants, steroids, immunosuppressants, antihypertensive, and antidiabetic, and finally, personal and social history of patient. The next step is physical examination. It is general physical examination. Positive findings, even if not related to proposed procedure, should be explored. Then surgery related examination. It depends on type and site of surgery. Then complications which have occurred due to underlying pathology. Then systemic examination, comorbidities and their severity. Then specific examination, for example, suitability for positioning during surgery. Investigations. Choice of investigations depends on type of surgery. Major surgery needs most investigations. Then patient has sickle cell test for Afro-Caribbean origin. Then comorbidities, for example, echo for valvular heart disease. Then routine investigations, diagnostic investigations, and specific investigations. Specific investigations are done according to risk factors identified by history, physical examination, routine investigations, and type of operation. Pre-operative investigation for confirmation of diagnosis, exclusion of alternate diagnosis, to know the extent of disease, assessment of fitness for surgery, then risks to others, and medico-legal issues. Risk assessment and consent. Risk assessment is done by using American Society of Anesthesiology scoring or Apache scoring system. All life or limb-threatening complications and all complications with incidence of 1% or more should have been discussed with the patient and their family members. Then ASA score. ASA 1 means patient is completely healthy and fit to undergo surgery. ASA score 2 means patient has mild systemic disease. ASA 3 means patient has severe systemic disease that is not incapacitating. ASA 4 means patient has incapacitating disease that is constant threat to life. ASA 5, a moribund patient who is not expected to live 24 hours with or without surgery. ASA 6, a declared brain dead individual whose organs are being removed for donor purpose. Taking a comprehensive consent. Acronym lead to reason is used to memorize different steps of taking comprehensive consent. L stands for lead in, that is introduce yourself and identify the patient. E for explore, how much patient knows. D for diagnosis, why operation is being proposed. T for treatment, whether in accordance with protocols and if not, why not. O for options, all options including that of doing nothing. R stands for results, explain likely outcomes in terms of pain, mobility, work, diet, and return to normal activities. Eventualities, for example, the possibility of needing to remove the testicles in hernia operation. Then A for adverse events, for example, myocardial infarction. S stands for sound mind, ask if they have understood. Then O for open question, check if further clarification is required. And N stands for notes, that is document everything that has been discussed and get it signed from patient or his or her close family member. Then general preparations, correct deficient factors. For example, if patient has low HB transfused blood, if patient is malnutrited, give him or her nutritional support, correct fluid and electrolyte balance. Second step is to treat infection focus before surgery, remove all dentures and loose teeth, stop smoking and treat chest infections, advise respiratory exercises to patient, have a good control of blood glucose level, then leg muscle exercises and low dose heparin in high risk patient, then fasting for at least 6 hours before operation, take a bath and wash the skin especially at the site of planned operation, then shaving depilatory cream applied to operative area at the time of operation, then wrist label indicating patient name, age, hospital registration number, site to be operated and disease, special preparations and referral. Jaundice patients or patient with poor liver function should be given vitamin K, should be given oral or injectable glucose, antibiotic cover and prevention of hepatorenal syndrome. Diabetic patient with DK, GKI infusion. This segment will be described in detail in coming slides. Then thyrotoxic patients, they should be given antithyroid drugs to achieve euthyroid state before surgery. Severely cachectic patient, for example, carcinoma esophagus, carcinoma pancreas. In such patient, nutritional support should be given, either total parenteral nutrition or enteral nutrition. Large bowel surgery, bowel preparation, liquid diet before surgery, antibiotics and elemental diet. Gastric surgery in patient with gastric outlet obstruction. Day before surgery, gastric lavage to empty stomach, IV fluids and electrolytes should be corrected. Management of patients controlled on insulin. For minor surgery, omit morning dose of insulin, start previous diet and insulin regime after surgery. For major surgery, on the day of surgery, omit morning dose of insulin, check fasting blood sugar, start glucose potassium insulin infusion, that is 10% dextrose along with 15 units of insulin and 10 millimole of KCl to run at 100 ml per hour. If fasting blood sugar is less than 100 mg, then add 10 units of insulin, and if fasting sugar is more than 200, Add 20 units of insulin in 10% dextrose bottle. If the duration of surgery is more than 1 hour, blood sugar should be checked hourly during operation, and if it is within acceptable range, no extra insulin is required. If blood sugar is high, give additional insulin subcutaneously. Management of patients controlled on oral hypoglycemic agents. For minor surgery, omit morning dose of oral hypoglycemic agent and operate early in the morning. For major surgery, if well controlled, then omit morning dose of oral hypoglycemic agent. Sulfonylureas drug should be stopped on the day before operation. If not well controlled on oral hypoglycemic agent, then stop oral hypoglycemic agent and start short-acting insulin administered twice or thrice daily. Pulmonary system preoperative intervention. Smoking cessation within 2 months before planned surgery. Incentive spirometry. Encouraging exercise preoperatively. Patients should be encouraged to walk 3 miles in less than an hour several times weekly. Then bronchodilator therapy. Antibiotic therapy for pre-existing infection, then pre-treatment of asthmatic patients with steroids. If the patient is recently diagnosed as a hypertensive, then 2 to 3 weeks should be given for a stabilization period to control blood pressure. Then next segment is pre-medications. Sedations on night before surgery and in the morning of operation day. Then injection atropine for reducing secretions before general anesthesia and anxiolytics. Prophylactic antibiotics not required in clean case surgery at clean area, routinely required in cases of surgery of gastrointestinal tract, urinary tract, biliary tracts, and all cases of prosthetic surgeries. First dose of prophylactic antibiotic is usually given at the time of induction of anesthesia, and second dose should be repeated if surgery is prolonged. And the next step is arranging the theatre list. Multidisciplinary team includes ward, theatre, and specialist nursing staff, anesthetic and surgical team, radiology and social care workers, rehabilitation and social care workers, specific personnel in individual cases. What should be the pre-operative assessment in emergency surgery? Principles of pre-operative assessments are same as in elective surgery, but there is an exception that the opportunity to optimize the condition is limited by time constraints. Medical assessment and treatment should be started according to ATLS guidelines despite the time limit. Some risks may be reduced, but some may persist, and whenever possible, these needs to be explained to patient and their attendants. This diagram is showing pre-operative checklist on the day of surgery. Client teaching completed, consent form signed, patient is NPO, patient is in gown, allergy and ID bands on, no jewelry, bands tape, voiding prior to transfer, pre-op medications are accompanying the patient, side rails increase after pre-op, contact lens out, dentures and bridges out, nail polish removed, vitals within 4 hours of surgery or 30 minutes after pre-op, pre-op lab work on chart, abnormal lab values highlighted, skin preparation is done, preparation immediately before surgery, WHO surgical safety checklist. Step 1, pre-list briefing, in which the primary surgeon brief all team members about the plans of surgery, expected duration, and eventualities. Step 2, sign in before induction of anesthesia, patient confirmed, site marked, anesthesia checklist completed, that is anesthesia machines are working, medication check complete, then venous thromboembolism cover given, then monitoring of patient, then does the patient have non-allergy, difficult airway or aspiration risk, is there any risk of more than 500 ml of blood loss. Then step 3, time out before skin incision, confirm all the members have introduced, antibiotic prophylaxis has been given, essential imaging displayed, hairs are removed, there is good glycemic control, there is good temperature control, so covering up process is complete, movement in the theatre should be limited, and preparing and wrapping of patient is complete. Then step 4 is sign out, that is the name of procedure, complete description of procedure, completion of instruments, sponge and needle counts, specimen labeling is complete, that is read specimen label aloud including patient name, whether there are any equipment problems to be addressed, and finally step 5 is post list debriefing. Different situations that are commonly found while performing surgery, emergency surgery in which life-threatening condition required immediate action, for example ruptured aneurysm, penetrating trauma and peritonitis. Then urgent surgery, surgery required within few hours till patient is medically stable, for example intestinal obstruction, appendicitis and wound debridement. And elective surgery is a type of surgery that is pre-planned and based on patient choice, availability of surgeon and facility, that is hernia surgery, varicose vein surgery, colorectal surgery, breast surgery and so on. At last, I am very thankful to you for your kind attention and your valuable time. I hope so you have enjoyed my today's lecture. Stay blessed, take care, stay in touch. Allah Hafiz.